Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Hypno Acuity. And tonight's podcast is seven ways why seven ways. What the hell? Tonight's podcast is seven ways why the mind replays pain to feel in control. As painful memories create a map of what not to do, the mind clings to past wounds as warning signs. By replaying them, it believes it's protecting you and learning patterns to avoid future harm. It's not punishment, it's precaution. Even if it backfires emotionally, predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable liberation. If you've known hurt more than peace, the familiar ache becomes a baseline. That's occurred in my life. Pain becomes a baseline. You almost start anticipating the pain before you do anything. And I've done that. But after making this podcast and start realizing you think in pain, you listen in liberation. As your baseline's repeating it gives the illusion of control. It's like rehearsing a script you already know instead of risking an unknown one with unfamiliar endings. That is something I have done. And I really caught myself doing this. Without me understanding, I've done it. And I never realized when you say the word mind, the mind is looking for pain because it's familiar. You listen for the dreamer's dexterity or the inspiration, but think in the mind that it is binded in pain. Why pain trains the brain and me to complain. Complaining becomes a survival signal. Pain teaches the brain that voicing discomfort might attract support or protection. That's why drama and trauma, all they are is trying to attract support from outside sources. And over time, the mind hardwires complaining and complaints as a way to feel seen, safe, or validated, even as energized liberation calls for something deeper. How is that? If you have watched somebody that dramatizes everything, they make it bigger, bolder to feel like it's something. And that's what trauma and drama is. It's hardwired to complain, but it's looking for outside sources for liberation. The brain remembers attention, not intention. When complaints get more response than quiet strength, the brain tags that as effective. Pain then rewires attention, seeking it into mental habits, where expressing what's wrong becomes an easier way than imagining the path of enlightenment and the trails of triumph. And that one just registered with me. I used to do that all the time. But I really liberated myself by making this course. Pain is from yesterday, but it controls today. Why thinking never lets people out of their painful memories. Thoughts replay pain to build false safety zones. The mind replays hurtful memories thinking it's creating a map of danger, but it's ending up fencing you in to old terrain of pain. Where reaction replaces renewal, mental loops outspace emotional truths. When thinking races ahead of feeling, the past gets analyzed instead of alkanized. Insight without emotional release becomes a story stuck in pause. That is something that I have experienced, stuck in pause. How many ways am I stuck in pause? And that's something I really liberated myself from a few years ago, as being stuck in pause. Because I'm always going into, oh, what's going to go wrong? I never really ever, and I'm just really beginning to understand the pathway of enlightenment, to realize I experience what I experience the revelations of what my dreams, rather than thinking the outcomes. Because when you think outcomes, the mind becomes involved, and then you go backwards. And people unknowingly taught themselves keep the mind replaying the pain to feel in control. Repetition becomes a comfort ritual in disguise. When life feels unpredictable, the mind clings to familiar pain. Has that happened to you? It has happened to me. This is kind of like a confession for me. I get to get rid of I get to open up to understanding pain, to drain the pain down the sewer of never do. Because it, not because it's good, it's because it's known. And see, the mind stays in the deal. And if you listen to self help, personal growth, self improvement, they talk about the pain of the past, but really they stay in the cognitive recollections and the mindset resistance and their subconscious mind programming to basically say the same. It's easy to talk about pain because you're really never leaving your comfort zone. As with Cowboy Wisdom, Hypno Acuity, and Cowboy Wisdom, I speak of inspiration. You got to express some inspiration to let go of yesterday's desperation. And I'm here to say the negativity in the school system, if you weren't one of the pets or the real people at school was easy for, the teachers really tried to use you as an example for the rest of the class. And the teachers never realized and understood everybody as an individual with sleek, unique talents. And a large percent of the people will never fit into the railroad tracks of business education that's got to keep people stuck in yesterday. The mind mistakes vigilance for empowerment. Staying alert to past wounds can feel like strength, but in reality, it often keeps you locked in mental rehearsals that never lead to liberation, only more guarding. That is something I relate to, because when you have something you really want and you really want to experience, how do you get going and it all feels good, and then all of a sudden you're going into talking about what could go wrong? Oh, I'm a professional at that. I was a professional at that. But now I'm really opening up to expressing inspiration and hearkening the wisdom of my daily life from people. Whoever I meet on the street encompasses wisdom for me to rise, shine, and expand out of yesterday. Here are 7 sharp, soulful reasons why overthinking keeps us tethered to painful memories rather than freeing us from them and freeing them from ourselves. Thinking seeks logic where pain held chaos. The mind craves sense making, but trauma often defies logic. So it loops, endless searching for an explanation that might never ever come. How does that keep going when it keeps circulating and looking for it? And thinking reopens wounds for analysis, never liberating you from you. Instead of soothing the pain, overthinking pokes at it like a puzzle, or a grizzly bear with a sore tooth to solve, intellectualizing what the heart needed to feel and release. Thinking avoids feelings. Vulnerability, staying in the head, can feel safer than stepping into the raw, unpredictable space of heart and soul, enterprising emotions and liberation. But that's where healing lives, is inside there. Healing lives with cognitive recollections. Liberation is free flowing energy strolling you out to your seas of sovereignty. But healing lives there, not in rehearsed thoughts. And see, if you take the word thoughts out of your life and start using resolutions, it takes the thinking out of it. Mental loops mimic safety through control. The illusion is if I think hard enough, I can prevent this from happening again, but it traps me into past hurts instead of present moment freedom. Overthinking idolizes why over what. What now? It idolizes origin stories why it happened rather than opening the empowerment what I can do with it now to rise out of it. Something that I've expanded into, everything occurs for me to rise, shine, and expand out of it. But it occurs, not happens. See, occurs gives me a freedom. The brain confuses analysis with closure. It assumes dissecting the past leads to resolution, but sometimes you don't need more information. You need more permission to stop reliving it. Give yourself permission to rise out of the past and stop reliving it and experience the now. Memory plus imagination equals recycled suffering. Your mind replays old scenes and images now. Images new ones built on the same fears, turning yesterday's wounds into today's reality. I got a class. Why is today mirroring yesterday? And there's what happens. This is one of my favorites. Why pain is a manipulator of my daily experiences. When past hurts becomes your reference point, your brain starts scanning daily situations through the lens of when will the next blow land, the unsavory blows of unsavory experiences land in my life. Even neutral moments get colored by anticipation of harm, shaping choices, tone, and reactions before you're even aware. How's that happen to you? It's happened to me a bunch. When things are going good, you almost go searching to do something to make it unsavory. Pain hijacks the narrative with false certainty. Pain loves to whisper, you already know how this will end. How's that when you start dreaming and setting a goal? You already know how this is going to end, so don't do it. It manipulates by convincing you that growth, love, or ease will only lead to disappointment. That certainly keeps you and me in a loop of choosing the familiar ache over the risk of hope. How does that resonate with you? It resonates with me because I've experienced that. That's something else I really understand. When you want to rise out of the past, your daily life is a polishing prowess, and your inspiration, you express your inspirations and revolutionary revelations to rise out of it and start speaking about where you desire to be rather than where you've been. It opens that up. How pain stealthily takes the wheel in your daily life. It camouflages as realism. Pain convinces you that caution is clarity. So you second guess the joy, call dreams unrealistic, and label protection as practicality. Oh yeah, that's another one good for me. This one's hitting a lot of my. I think my unadmitted stuff is coming out of me today. And see, that's the thing about being a speaker, a coach. Whatever you speak about, you don't want to feel like you're going to tell everybody. You're really expressing your wisdom of your own experiences to the world for people to rise. And that's what cowboy wisdom is. It's not realism, it's reflex. It reroutes choices through past GPS. Even when you're driving toward new goals, pain resets your internal compass to, to old hurt coordinates. Yeah, that's happened. This one's fun. You think you're choosing freely, but you're following a map of drawn by memory and memorized uh, low quality outcomes. As I now realize in the mire, the present me communicates away from past me, sets me free of my here and now. As I start each day by quietly affirming, I am effortlessly rising out of the same version of me who was hurt. I've risen to my I I'm risen to my promised land as I get to respond defiantly different through energetic liberation, politically incorrect inspiration that dissolves politically correct perfection programming now. The simple savvy rises my revolutionary revelation opens reminds your mind that your past shaped you, but it doesn't own you. It widens the frame and lets me see my empowered intuition of my enterprising, my present moment mystical encounters. How pain stealthily takes the wheel in your daily life. These are some clever insights on how pain quietly grabs control without sounding the alarm. It camouflaged as real and pain convincing you that caution is clarity. As when you're driving toward your new goals, pain resets your internal compass to old coordinates. As I set my inner coordinates to courage, wisdom, and prowess, never caution as I indigenously navigate by venture's veracity, dissolving all trauma and drama in my life, as I am chauffeured to my seashores of abominable bliss. My spirit, soul, and heart, energized listening, is my GPS that chauffeurs me to my paths of enlightenment, glides me on to my trails of triumph, surfing on my seas of stunning success, oceans of opulence, relaxing on my beaches of bountiful bliss, kissing my life of luxurious leisure. Good morning, good night, and good afternoon. As my light of energized liberation glides me through life with ease now and forevermore. Why my self taught blame and shame kept me stuck in the drama, trauma, and my past. That was something I was good at. Here's two sharp, insightful ways that you liberate the blame and shame, because blame and shame act like identity glue. When you've taught yourself to wear blame and shame as armor, it can fuse with a sense of sabotaging self. Letting go feels like erasing part of who you are, even if it's a painful part, which makes moving forward feel unsafe or unfamiliar. As you open up to trust your internal gallantry, you dissolve all of that. The mind replays pain to feel in control, ironically revisiting old trauma, and trauma can trick your brain into thinking It's mastering the chaos, but it's self-styled survival tactic. That's why we keep going into trauma and drama, because we think we're mastering the chaos, but it's but it's really a self-styled survival tactic. Oh yeah, another one I've used. It's like rehearsing the past to avoid future hurt, but it ends up locking you in the same emotional echo chambers as yesterday. Why expressing wisdom and inspiration rises me out of my past rhetoric, or expressing here and now revelations. One, wisdom now frames the wound into wisdom. Optimism, unleashing nomadic dreamers' dexterity to rise, shine, and show for yourself to liberation. When you express what you've learned, you no longer speak from pain. When you speak through it, the liberation innovates old rhetoric into revelation, making you the author of insight, never just echoing the echoing your old injuries. You set yourself free by expressing your desired outcomes. Inspiration activates embodiment. The moment you voice veracity or insight, your body here hearkens it to rise, shine, and expand out of it. You don't just process the past, you experience present moment liberation. It's like sending your nervous system a memo and says, we stop surviving today. We're innovating today's lavish luxury because we rise, shine, and enjoy it. Why cowboy wisdom hypnoacuity rises people out of their mind controlling pain. Yeehaw! Let's lasso that insight. Here are two clever, piercing insights. Cowboy wisdom and hypnoacuity sharpen inner awareness in a liberating state that lifts people out of pain's mental chokehold. That's what pain is a mental chokehold. Cowboy wisdom grounds veracity in grit. It strips away overthinking with straight shooting clarity. Simple veracity like this is never your first rodeo, or you ride what you've got, cuts through the noise of yesterday's challenges. That raw, no frills understanding steadies the mind and reminds it you're tougher than your triggers. You're tougher than your triggers. You're bolder, brighter, and tougher than your triggers. Hypnoacuity now wires through the here and now experiences. Never pressure. By deepening awareness, it's the now. It softens the grip of survival mode scripts. See, that's what trauma, drama, and all that is. It's, the past is survival mode scripts. Instead of reacting from memory, it lets people respond from centered clarity, turning trance into innovation. Here's the tumble wise. I never walk in circle. I roll with the wind, barbed with get my hands dirty wisdom, soft at the bend to never depend on old memories, but it opens up today's liberating revelation. Sun in my silence, grit my silence, grit as my grace. I've left every ghost where the dust lost its trace. No map in my pocket, no past at the wheel. Just my hands holding the reins of energetic liberation. Energized listening, emancipating questions, hearkens my revolutionary acumen from open ranges of intuitive innovation. Inform me of my sleek, unique talents as I feel me rising to my here and now as inner peace and plush prosperity are my way of life. Some ride for endings, some ride for gold. Me, I ride light and I ride bold. As pain was a storm, I was a seed spun by sorrow, planted by liberating lore. Now I tumble wise forward, never lost, just just a whole nighography of my mystical motions across my soul after soul, unleashing my soul surgency. Why cowboy wisdom hypnoacuity rises people out of their mind controlling pain. Because cowboy wisdom grounds vibrant veracity and grit. My spirit, soul, heart, and energized listening are my GPS that chauffeurs me to my paths of enlightenment, drives me on to my trails of triumph, surfing on my seas of stunning success, oceans of opulence, relaxing on beaches of bountiful bliss, kissing my life of luxurious leisure, turned on my light of energized liberation and guides me through life with ease, now and forevermore, as I release the pain to entertain my life of luxurious leisure, now and forevermore. And I want to thank you. I am Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Hypnoacuity, and this is about understanding pain controls us and manipulates us as our inner self is the sovereign, sassy tenacity to rise us out of it. I want to thank you and enjoy your weekend, and we'll be here Tuesday night with some